Well, if it makes you feel any better, when I look at my password manager, it's got over 7,000 different passwords in there. And everybody's like, oh my gosh. Ooh. And somebody said, how do you remember all those? I'm like,
you calmly go,
I'm a genius.
That's why I use a computer.
Help me with hip-hop. Let's get it right. Protect your patience. Day and night. Donna and David, the experts on your side. Help me with hip-hop. Let's get it right.
This is Michael Chamberlain with IntegSec in Bethel, Maine, USA. And you're listening to the Help Me with Hip Hop podcast.
On today's show, we'll be talking about AI security efforts preview coming out of the Health Sector Coordinating Council. And we have today with us none other than Donna Grindle of the Health Sector Coordinating Council AI Security Efforts Committee.
Ooh, ah.
So, yeah, if you don't know, Donna does serve on the HSCC artificial intelligence security stuff. And they come out with a preview recently of what's going on. And I figured, well, actually Donna figured, why not talk about what she's been up to and doing in that area?
Yeah, you can't really talk about, all of these stuff that we're doing. You can kind of say we're doing stuff, but you can't talk about it until it's publicly released. And so we do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like Fight Club for healthcare.
Don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah, it's good stuff. But what was interesting is that there was some AI stuff that was put out, I don't know, 2023. So we were looking last year and coming up with what's task groups for this year and discussions, and I was like, we got to get on the AI. We got to put some stuff out. This stuff's coming left and right.
Yeah.
And
I hope you're having better luck than I'm having creating AI presentations, because literally I'll create one and by the time I give the presentation, I'm like, all right, forget half these slides because it's all changed.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem is how to create something that meets all the requirements of what we do. Because the HSCC, you can't just throw something out there. It's, sector wide, and it needs to be vetted and approved and all that kind of good stuff. So when we had our first meeting, everybody's like, okay, what are we going to talk about with AI that we can build that won't have to change before we ever release it?
Yeah. I mean, imagine the security stuff that's come out just on the technology side and how much technology's changed over the years. Like we can't even do that with AI. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe there are some fundamentals that wouldn't change much.
Yeah.
But wow. So yeah, let's go over it, because I'm interested to see what you've been working on.
Well, I can tell you the initial conversations that we had, and it's like, okay, everybody, let's talk about what topics we should create content for, because the way these things work is you stand up a task group and they define a objective and what they're going to create, what is the deliverable, and then it kind of gets approved by everybody, and then you go off and do it and gets approved and yada yada yada. Well, we all get together, and by the time we'd gone through about 3 meetings of everybody brainstorming, we had 15 different individual siloed things that were on a list. I think it may have been more than that, but anyway, then we had to figure out what are we going to do with that, and finally it came down to they kind of got merged together and into, I don't remember how many we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ones that we now create subgroups. So then you have the subgroups and you have the people running the big group. So you have to have the meeting for the big group to see what all the subgroups are doing to keep that in sync. And then all the subgroups have to have the meetings. And then I have the outreach, which I'm on with you. So I have a lot of meetings. But in it, somehow I fell for it, and I am the lead of the AI education enablement subgroup of the AI cybersecurity task group. There you go.
Yeah. It's Hickai.
I don't know what it's going to be, but
Yeah, well, you either become the head of one of these task groups when you A, miss a meeting, or you B, have a good idea.
yeah, I missed a meeting.
Or it's like, you know what, we should do such and such. Great. Sounds like you should head that up.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, this was one of my areas that I thought was really, really important and kept advocating for us doing something is, everybody's getting this stuff thrown at them, and people don't truly understand what a lot of this is about. And if we don't educate them about the concepts as well as the risks and how to manage the risks, if we just start, a lot of HSCC stuff is like, here's how you manage the risks, because these are risks we know. It's like, oh, we're defining which of the risks, but you're not having to define the entire concept. So we've just never dealt with something that you have to get people to understand the concepts because it's coming so fast. What concepts do you include?
Mhm.
And then you got the security parts of it, which is what, we're the cybersecurity working group. So cybersecurity is kind of the key. But in order to properly manage the risk, you have to understand what the risks are. And then to understand the risk, you have to understand what the concepts are. And
All right.
yeah, it's awesome. So that's how I ended up with education and enablement. And I think originally there was something in there that had more to do with enablement, but this is what we're doing. So because we got so much going on, and I mean, we are meeting weekly in multiple meetings trying to generate the stuff because we understand the urgencies of it, but we also understand the importance of doing it properly. And by the way, virtually everybody that is doing this as volunteer work, not part of their regular job. Now, companies allow them to volunteer and will pay them for their job, but it is volunteer work. It's not like we have hired resources to do this work. And I think a lot of times that gets lost is we spend a lot of our meetings with people apologizing for missing meetings because they had to go do the real work. But anyway, so we released this thing that was part of the CSAM concept. It was originally supposed to come out in CSAM, but it didn't get through all the stuff until November. But we're like, hey, we want to let everybody know we're working on this so that, number one, it'll help you start thinking about the concepts we believe you should be thinking about. And number two, know that help's on the way.
Mm-hmm.
That was the idea. Actually, the idea was I was going to publish the top 10 glossary terms because we're building a glossary so that we're consistent across all of our guidance on AI. I'm going to, for CSAM, let's just do something fun and do that. And then it turned into this document. So there you go. Anyway, so it goes through all of the subgroups and it talks about, it explains what we're working on, what we're doing. And then my group is the first one. And our objective is to improve education and awareness of AI machine learning technology to better understand risk and apply control activities. How's that? That sounds like an official language thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like it.
So our big thing is, definitions, terminology, the fundamentals, the risks, blah, blah, blah. And our first deliverable was the top 10 AI definitions, which really come from our glossary, and it didn't get on there. But we built a glossary urgency. We built a glossary so that all of the other subtask groups could contribute to it or use the terms in the same manner so that we don't have the same term used different ways because everybody's building terms as they go because this is so new. Yeah. So fun. Anyway, so we manage the glossary across all of our documents. And whenever a document is released for review, we feed it into multiple AI because it's AI. We're using AI, David. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
why don't we use AI for this? Well, we don't. And I'm like, it's about AI.
Yeah.
I think we should use AI. But anyway, we actually take the document and say through multiple models to see, and you always get a different answer, right?
Yeah.
And we say, look, first to make sure that any term that's in the document that's in the glossary is being used in the proper context. And, to make sure that. And then number two, are there any terms in there that are being defined in there that should be in the glossary or used in a way that should be in the glossary? Which, by the way, is a great example of how you could use AI effectively. So many people don't they think it only writes papers. No, you use it for research. That's really where it shines.
Yeah.
That or take this technical thing and turn it into real English and let me see if it matches.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, you wanna review what we ended up with as our top 10, David?
Yeah. So top 10 terms you need to know. So these are the buzzwords, at least as of today. So the first one, AI agents. So let's talk about that one for a minute because there is a difference between AI and AI agent.
Yes.
Or some people call it agentic AI. It's the same thing. And so think of it like you go to ChatGPT or your favorite flavor of AI and you're typing stuff in and you're asking it to do things. That is not AI agents. That is you doing things and asking it for something, then it comes back. Kind of a one-to-one, like do this, here's my response. Do this, here's my response.
Yeah, you're working with the employee you've delegated something to, and they're working directly with you.
Right. So an AI agent is a function of AI that can make decisions for you based on the instructions that you've given it. And then it just runs off and performs tasks and then comes back with whatever. And these are stackable. So think of it as like let's use a grocery store analogy. So the best way these things work, is instead of saying, go to the grocery store and buy these 50 products, the better way to do it is say, this agent is going to go down aisle 1. This agent is going to go down aisle 2. This one's going to go down aisle 3, and on and on and on. And then you have a supervisor agent that they all come back to. And so they work better when you really isolate what their function is. But they go out as a team and they work and they come back.
Yeah, I think at one time we called that object-oriented programming.
It sounds much cooler to say agentic AI.
Anyway, no. The bottom line is it's that ultimate where you have an assistant, which is what AI starts as. This is an assistant, and it's an assistant that you can trust enough. So, very much like what you're talking about is, let's stick with the grocery store because why not? You took us down that aisle.
Clean up on aisle 10.
There's people that joke about, I can't send my husband, wife, significant other to the grocery store without taking pictures of everything for them to be able to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's not the kind of assistant AI is. Really and truly, if you say, I want this specific thing, it usually will do that unless you're not really specific. But so if I gave it a recipe, but I didn't give it brand names and I didn't give it any of these things and it just what I'm supposed to have, AI could come back and give me those things in theory, go down the aisles and find it. And here's what I found. Boom, here they are. But it would bring it back to me to confirm what it got.
Yeah.
Each item.
Yep. So in theory, not necessarily because they are doing this, but you could say, hey, AI, flavor of choice, I'm going to be making lasagna tonight. go and order everything I need to make it. And it guns off, figures out what you need, puts it in your shopping cart, buys it, has it brought to you through whatever means of transportation, gets food to your door. And that's it. It does everything. Except cook it.
And you don't, yeah. And eventually it'll just hand it off to the AI robot at the house. But did you see the one? Is it Russian?
Russian that fell on his face.
They're watching it. They knew it was going to fall. You could see how nervous those guys were. The little robots, like, the Japanese ones are like walking around like, sup? And they brought theirs out and it was walking like, I'm going to fall. I'm going to fall. Anyway, but again, it's, I would give it a recipe. It would go find the things on all the aisles and give it back to me to confirm. And then I could go buy it. And that's the basic concepts. Take the agents and the agentic, and you're right, David. You just say, I'm not even going to give you the recipe. I'm going to make lasagna. I might tell you what I have in the cabinet, or even better, take a picture of the refrigerator and the cabinet and say, make sure I have what I need to make lasagna.
You do have to open the refrigerator though before you take a picture.
Yeah, there is that. Some of them have the little display window.
I know. Oh, it'll get to that point pretty quickly where it's like, as soon as you realize my milk is below 30%, go ahead and order the next gallon.
Exactly. You would have enjoyed that when you had all those boys in the house. But that's the difference in the concept, and that's a huge piece. I mean, this is massive part. So understanding there's AI that you're using one way, but the AI agents, and an example of an AI agent is agentic AI. There's some slight, agentic AI is an AI agent, but there are AI agents that some people don't call agentic AI. We got through this whole, there was a long discussion. Let me just.
I'm sure.
Anyway, and we did them in alphabetical order, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of common. But, what do you do when you do a glossary or something? It's alphabetical order. Anyway, so that's the big thing, and I really hope people get that concept because that's what makes the difference. I mean, I use AI, you use AI, but we're not fully using AI agents or agentic AI at this point for just let it roll. I don't trust it enough.
Yeah, I think in some cases, some people are actually using it and they're not aware of it only because it's happening at the back end of a third-party piece of software they're using.
That's fair.
But as far as going out and programming them, I mean, I'm messing with that now. That's a technical term, by the way. Messing with it. So I'm programming exactly AI agents and all that, and it's fun. It's interesting. It's terrifying. Yeah. All right, next algorithm is the next one. I didn't know this until recently, but apparently the cool kids call it the algo.
Yeah. You got to have the algo. Well, because everything's an algorithm, but yeah. Proceed.
Yeah. These are step-by-step instructions that computers follow to solve problems. And this is, classic computing. We understand this part.
Yeah. It's an algorithm, but you need to understand that AI is working from an algorithm. It's layers of algorithms, in fact. So anyway, as we move on.
Yeah. So this one is, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this one. Artificial intelligence. Or because we have to define the very thing we're trying to define.
Yes.
So systems that mimic human intelligence to perform tasks.
That's artificial systems, intelligence. So they think like humans instead of just doing one little thing. The original robots.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, part of me is like, I don't really know that you want to mimic human intelligence. Can't you do something different?
Wait, intelligence. That's the key.
Yeah. Can you define intelligence first? Is that in the definitions here?
Probably should have had a big debate about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one, this is a problem here. Not sure how to deal with it, but bias. So these are when the results are unfair due to errors in data or design.
Yeah, and in healthcare, everybody will get in a debate about the answers that it gives you. And, some of them are really obvious. Where's the coldest place in the world? Hawaii. No, that's wrong. But, you could get into a variety of discussions depending on, do I get to count the wind chill or, But when we look at that bias from a healthcare perspective, this is huge. And it's a big concern. It's a risk, particularly in the diagnostic part. And that's where we see so much of the value is in the diagnostic part. But, I mean, if it's only been trained to understand, information about dudes with gray goatees, I'm just looking at the screen, and all it knows is all the data that has to do with David. And then you bring in a young kid, even one of his own sons, it's not going to know the same stuff. So it doesn't know all the things. It only knows about David. It will give only the answers that pertain to the information it knows about David and will not give answers that pertain necessarily to the specifics of another person. And when you're doing a diagnostic thing and you're trying to decide whether someone has cancer or if there's a problem with, there's pathology, there's radiology, oncology, all of those things are big areas like, is this drug working? What are the blood levels? What are this? What's on the MRI? What's on this? If its data that it is evaluating is so narrow or even slightly narrow, and it doesn't have information that pertains to the individual, then it's going to mess up. Yep. It's going to, if I only teach it about Hawaii, what's the coldest place, it'll be someplace in Hawaii. And that is the bottom line. And if I don't tell anybody, well, it really only knows about Hawaii. Here, go use this to answer all your information about everywhere in the world. But it really only knows about Hawaii. So that is a key element, and it's one of the largest risks we worry about is making sure that you understand there's transparency so that you can know for sure that it only knows about certain things and you can't count on it for other things.
Yep. Okay, so the next one here, data privacy. So protecting sensitive information, particularly patient information that's used in these AI systems.
Yeah, there was a debate about putting it on there. And it's like, well, the whole idea is that we want to give them the definitions of the risks as well as the concepts. And bias is a big risk, but data privacy is a big concern right now where people aren't telling you they're using AI.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like some other software. It's like it can be used in a privacy compliant manner, but it doesn't mean it is being used in a privacy compliant manner. So you have to understand that piece of it. And oftentimes people don't. I've had recent talks with groups that, they have privacy and security laws they have to follow, and they aren't even aware of which AI they can use, which tiers of the AI they should be using and all that. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, you mean to tell me we have to turn that on? Yeah, you do. So that's, data privacy is one of those things that you should be part of your risk assessment that you're doing before integrating anything AI related.
Yes. That is why it's on there, because it's a risk.
All right. The next one, we should be able to explain this one. The next one is explainability, which is being able to understand and explain how an AI system makes its decisions in a way that humans can follow.
That last bit is key.
Yeah. So can you actually understand it? Because the way I explain it may not be very good to some people.
No. Yeah. And that is a big problem. It gets back to the, analogy of what how does it make its decisions? What are in the algorithms? What is in the data it's been trained on? That's the explainability part, so that I can understand if it tells me something, what it considered and how it got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and humans can follow it, which gets back to the intelligence debate.
And this is one of the, I don't know, would you say that this is a technology that inherently is different because of that? Like we didn't have to have necessarily the internet explained to us, and we didn't have to have cell phones explained to us. Do you think this is different in that way though?
Probably, but I mean, not having the internet explained to us is probably why we're in such a cybersecurity issue today. Maybe that failure got us where we are today.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
So
I just thinking explaining this, no matter how much I dumb it down, is still going to be hard to do. Just in so many ways. But maybe
it's almost like you remember when the first time you saw a spreadsheet do massive calculations. Whoa.
Yeah.
It did all that. Like I clicked and it did it all.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I was like, I told my teacher I wouldn't need a calculator.
Yeah, but if you can remember the first time you saw that in awe, and younger folks are not ever going to have that moment, but the same way, because they will never be an adult that's had to do that math and then see something else do it. But that's where the computer was magic, right?
Yeah.
It's the magic. And you don't need to understand how it got to that, because you understood the calculation in the first place. You had to do it manually. And I think that's the big difference, is the application, the use of the application. It's able to do things we can't do manually. And I think that's a huge leap that takes us, you're not thinking outside the box. There is no box line,
Right.
And so I think that's the big difference. But yeah, you're probably right. We were able to use the things, and technically we could use it without it being explained today. But the risks that come with that, without taking the time, and I think that's one of our biggest concerns, is people don't understand what they're using. And then you have the problems with data privacy, and you have the problems with bias. So if I can't explain what I'm working with, that's where the risk just explode.
Yeah. I mean, even now we're still trying to explain how to get the best out of these models. There's all these different frameworks for how to talk to it. Yeah. I mean, it's like every single day I see somebody putting out a new video. This is how to do prompting. This is how to get the best out of it. And I'm like, but we've been talking about this for years.
Yeah.
And it's
I like the prompt. Back in when we first started messing with ChatGPT, when it first came out, we had a prompt that you and I we worked on together. We found it somewhere, and then we kept fine tuning it. We had a prompt that would build a prompt.
Yep.
And that's still quite valuable. And I'll sometimes say, I need you to help me build a prompt to ask you this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you think that's fun. Wait till you get into building agentic AI and then asking for prompts. Then it's just, whoo.
It gets squirrely. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do it.
But I think you would love it, because a lot of these platforms look like workflow, sheets with all the diagrams and everything. So
yeah. I've played enough with them, but do I want to get into doing that? I mean, there's a lot to be said with the value of what it's going to open up. And I don't think people even understand the amount. People don't understand so much of what this could do that's not the scary stuff.
Yeah. Like it can go out and find all the cat videos for you.
It can go out and find all the cat videos that have a black cat wearing a sombrero and dancing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you can't find one, it'll create it for you.
That's right. It's like, here you go.
All right. So the next one here, generative AI. So this is AI that creates new content such as text, images, video based on input and learning patterns or learned patterns.
So it's not
generating.
agentic AI. We're talking generative AI. They're two different things.
Yes.
And that's causing a bit of a problem. But
Yeah.
the names make sense to technical people. Unfortunately, not everybody else. It makes complete sense to me, the difference between them, right?
Yeah.
One
it's
is
like
an agent.
it's generating.
And one's generating things. But that's the way that, I can't use it. I was telling a friend of mine who's an attorney, I was like, you really need to take advantage of what AI can do. No, there's too many cases about doing. I'm like, I would never tell you to have it write your, submissions to the court. But if you've got a folder full of documents and you're looking for one that talks about this thing, that's where it's going to help you.
Yep.
You're looking for, tell me every time this is mentioned, tell me this. It's really good at that and rarely screws up on those kinds of things.
Yeah. It's fantastic for, brainstorming and thinking through things and having it challenge. I will say though, if you get good at the instruction piece of it, you want it to challenge your thinking on ideas. And that's where you get your value from. If you don't tell it that, oftentimes it's like, that's such a great idea, David. You're amazing.
No, don't. I need you to tell me if I'm thinking wrong. And you're right. There's so many people that just want it to agree. But that's a human expectation. I would like for everyone to agree with me. I am always right.
There's your bias. Right? I only want to talk to the models that agree with me. That's the problem we have in society now. Everybody wants to hang around people that only agree with them.
Yeah. So the good thing though is it generates things so much faster. And if you will just review them, I had an idea of some training I wanted to do, and I was able to say, here's what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. And in about an hour and a half yesterday, from I had an idea to I have a complete plan with outlines for us to start from, down to what videos, how to change policy, everything. Because I kept thinking of things, well, add this, take that out, do this. I was able to get this full plan. So it's pretty cool in that generative part.
Very cool.
Which takes us to the next one.
Yeah. So the next one, and this is happening without mushrooms, is hallucinations. So this is when AI generates false or misleading information. And this was a big issue early on. It's not as big now, but man, early on it was crazy. Some of the stuff it would come up with.
Yeah. It would just make it up. Just random.
Well, we still have this, I had it recently. We talked about it, I believe, on one of the episodes where I asked it a question about an article. So I gave it the article and I was like, help me write some social media post about it. And of course I, checked what it was writing, and it took an amount of money that was in the article and it just changed it. This is not in the article, but you're saying that it is.
Yeah. There's some times where I'll go look at it and I'll I don't see that anywhere. Or you tell it, go tell me this, and it's not in there. It's in there. You wrote it. I know I put it in there. I don't remember what page. Just go find it. Nope, it's not in there. So you'll have that side of hallucination as well. Yeah.
So hallucinating things that aren't there, and then things that are there. So that aren't. All right. LLMs, large language model. So this is exactly what ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude, these are what all these are. On the surface, you're dealing with a large language model. This is the AI that's trained on vast amounts of text to understand and generate language. That's what makes it generative.
Yeah, it's in a lot of ways, people want to think about it as similar to a database, but it's not. Right. One of the limitations of a database was you couldn't just throw a bunch of text in it and be able to use it. You had to standardize things and third normal form and all this kind of stuff, which I'm a big fan of because data. I'm a data nerd. But large language model just kind of threw all of that out. We used to have things where there were blobs and crazy stuff that before we got here. But now it does take all of that information and give you a response. So this large language model, and there's actually something else besides LLM, but if you understand the concept that this is its knowledge, really, that it has text knowledge, not your normal database kind of concept. And that's why we're able to get all these really cool things out of it.
Yeah. And then the last one here, machine learning. So this is AI that learns patterns from data instead of being directly programmed, which I think they're missing a letter here in the document.
Yeah. This is not the final edited version.
Okay.
There's two things on this thing I already noticed. But
yeah.
Anyway, machine learning is kind of where we started, is like, I want you to go, we would give it rules and then tell us if you find an anomaly, and then it would tell us it found an anomaly, and then we would tell it what to do about that anomaly. And, that really is looking more like the database part of it. But then AI starts to learn that on its own. So it'll freak you out, won't it, David? Like sometimes all of a sudden it'll say something that's like, well, you like this. And I'm like, I didn't tell you that. How you know that? Oh, yeah, I guess you could figure that out, Yeah. So it pays attention. So there you have it.
Yep.
But it is important that if we don't fully understand all of these things, we're not going to properly manage it. And that's what's gotten us in this mess, is not properly managing things like access controls and patching and all of the things that the internet has brought to us that are good as well as not, which brings us back to we probably should have learned more about it.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
If we had never allowed password 123. Do you see the list? Every time the list has the same stuff on it.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're running it against the same list every time to find I don't get it. Anyway.
Yeah. I did a presentation this week for a group of citizens. So, not clients or businesses. You're just, I like to do my community service. And
that's not court ordered.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally. So I'm talking to the group and the passwords came up, and that's always fun. And this guy says, so you're telling me I've got to have a different password for everything I sign into? And I said, yes. He's like, that's crazy. Like I'd have to remember like 20 passwords. And I was like, well, if it makes you feel any better, when I look at my password manager, it's got over 7,000 different passwords in there. And everybody's like, oh my gosh. Ooh. And so I said, how do you remember all those? I'm like,
you calmly go,
I'm a genius.
That's why I use a computer.
Yeah. But to your point, people still don't know how to manage passwords. Like, and the guy even asked, like, well, what if I just rotate, my top 3 passwords or 5 passwords, whatever. I'm like, this is the problem. It's like, you can't do that at all. But I can't just say you can't do that. I have to say, okay, let's play this scenario out. And then after you do that, they're like, oh, now I understand why I can't do that.
Yeah. And that's way better. And I think a lot of people, it gets back to us saying, the IT department likes to be the department of no.
Right.
And that doesn't work anymore. Used to just don't do it. Like, that's not going to work because they'll find a way to do it. You got to make sure it's secured or it's blocked, one or the other.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yes.
So explain to people, explain why, and, walk them through the scenario. Like, this is what happens when you do it this way or don't do it this way, so that you understand the importance of it. And, I can say all day long, lock down your email accounts. It's important to do that. But whenever I explain to them, hey, if somebody's able to get into your email account, then I can also go to your bank, and when I click on reset password, where does that go? And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you got to say. At that point, now it matters.
Now I am paying attention to you, David.
That's
Yeah.
right. All
So
right.
that's our top 10. And that's what started all this mess of us publishing all of the different groups, subgroups, and what they're doing. So we can hit them real quick. So everybody, these are the things that when we all talked about it, we narrowed it down to things that we thought were important to make sure we created guidance for, to help people. That's everything that we're doing in HSCC is about helping people, helping the sector, helping protect the organizations, and more importantly, patient safety, patient care, all of those things. And that's what everything we do is about. So the other subgroups, all right, we got cyber operations and defense, which again, we had to merge things. So it's like all of these ideas fall together. So we'll give it a name. We're not just going to do operations. We're going to do operations and defense in the same one. But their concept is to do a necessary requirements to effectively conduct optimized AI-specific cybersecurity operations. Yes, you know who's writing these things, right? Define AI-driven threat intelligence, which is the thing that we're most excited about, is that it can help on our side. And then processes of those threat intelligence with safeguards that support clinical workflow. There we go. Clinical workflows and broader health operations. Establish the risk factors and operational guardrails for technologies beyond LLMs, such as predictive machine learning systems and embedded device AI. That's huge. Develop a draft playbook structure and populate initial sections with discussion-driven content. So again, it's all about everybody's going to have their own little nuances like we do everything else in every organization. They implement things different, use things different, have different workflows. So those are the objectives, the intended deliverables and outcomes. AI, cyber resilience, and incident recovery playbook. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Again, we can't use these things until they're publicly released, but here I am having to make sure they all work. Let's run it through the glossary. Don't do anything with it. It's really cool. AI-driven clinical workflow threat intelligence playbook.
Yes.
That's some complication I'm not up for. Cybersecurity operations for AI systems playbook. So the idea is this is going to help you outline the things that need to be worried about and how you're going to control them, basically, and protect your systems from falling prey, if you will. The next one is the one, near and dear to my heart that I almost went with, but because I was advocating for education, that's where I ended up. The governance framework implementation. And the whole idea, governance framework is, create the rules that everybody's supposed to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a playbook, it's a rule book. And it is to align, we don't want to, recreate the wheel here. There are a lot, NIST has an AI governance risk management framework now. And the whole idea is finding ways to align all of that specifically for healthcare instead of, NIST is great, but unless it says healthcare, it's for everybody. So it's how do we use the tools that are there, best align them in healthcare, but also, and I really like this part because this is one of the things that we now really focus on is maturity models. Is AI governance maturity model is what they want to get to, which allows organizations to assess their capabilities, identify gaps, and prioritize improvements so that you get safe, ethical, and effective AI in healthcare. That's our goal across the board. Safe, ethical, and effective. So I like the fact that they're not just saying, well, we're going to make our own or we're going to adapt or any of that. They're going to say, here's the standards that are already there. And what maturity model, how would, if we have implemented X, Y, and Z, how much does that help us? Are we really able to defend ourselves? And so I'm really looking forward to the things that come out of it. And then this is the group where I'm like, I got nothing. The next one is secure by design medical devices. And you want to talk about people that are wearing out my glossary efforts. There are so many things. When you get into that medical device discussion, OMG is all I can say. And they all start talking to each other, and then and every time they do, it's like they find a new thing that we need to worry about. And I'm like, I do not need more to worry about. Like, stay awake about. And so talking about things like the S-bomb, but now it's an AI bomb. So software bill of materials now needs to be, now I need to also add to it, what AI am I building into these medical devices for it to evaluate things and make decisions. But it's trying to kind of put together the frameworks, the FDA guidance, the NIST risk management, the CISA recommendation, merge all of that and create one that's specifically made for pulling all the pieces out of those that makes sense for secure by design, so that we're not fixing it on the back end. But guess what? The constant conversation is there, David.
What's that?
We need to get something to market before we're going to secure it, is the constant battle and discussion with everything. It doesn't matter whether it's, software that does billing or evaluates test data, or pathology or whatever. You're always going to get to the same place, whether it's a medical device or piece of application, is I'm investing in creating this thing, but I'm wanting to secure it on the back end. Again, how we got into some of this trouble. So this is to try and address, let's do it as we go. If we do it as we go, we're not going to have the problem. So that's what secure by design is. And so they're looking to build one of the things they wanted was a actual security risk taxonomy. So that just kind of goes right in with our glossary. And then we have the design guidance, and it's a bunch of stuff. And then they're wanting to create their own educational and awareness materials to send out to groups. And I'm like, yay, it's not under me, is it?
Yeah, I just want to say that these materials are to promote a security first mindset.
Ba-dum-bum. And let's see, I think this is the last one. Yeah. So the last one is brutal. Third party risk and supply chain management for AI. I mean, again, it goes back to people are using it and they don't even know. How do you manage the risk of something you don't even know you're using? Yeah, see, that was our whole discussion. And so their whole idea is, can we come out with guidance that does AI risk, but it's layered, going through the whole vendor. If my vendor's using something that's using AI against my data, but that's written by another vendor, which is created by another vendor who brought in a piece from another vendor. And it gets scary when you start looking at that. So at first I was like, oh, I want to do that. And then I started thinking through what it's going to have to do. And I'm like, I'm out. Nope. I can't even. But the idea is to create scalable tools, best practices for governance, risk, and controls, governance, risk, GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, procurement and compliance teams, elevate patient safety, data privacy, and trust by putting the accountability and transparency in the actual selection of vendors and the third parties and the supply chain. And making sure we're trying to make sure that everything we do is aligning with the things that are already there by NIST and ISO, the international organizations. We don't want to create new things. We want to show you how to use what's already there in a way that works within the sector. So, there's a ton of different, at first we were just going to pull a glossary, but there's one at the FDA, there's one at NIST, there's one over here, none of them cover everything that we thought needed to be in there. And you even got, the taxonomy, the Secure by Design people are going to create, we're going to plug that right in there. And the idea, we don't know what we're going to do with it yet.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we're going to have this, we need to publish it. And we've broken it out between things for a general audience and things for a technical audience, which is good. So we can publish it some way, but we're not even sure how to do that yet. So there you have it. Those are all the things. And believe it or not, they are all supposed to be coming out in Q1, Q2 of 2026.
Yeah. Well, that's the first AI cybersecurity publication in the series is right here, folks. You heard it here first. So as the other points in the series come out, we'll go over those and introduce them to you. I think it's extremely important we stay on top of this topic and point you to these resources. Like Donna said, lots of people working, volunteering to do these things to help secure healthcare, to help protect patients, to help protect practices and healthcare industry. So take advantage of these. They're out there for you.
Yes.
All right, we're done. So join us again next week. And until then, remember, for Donna and myself, the HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.